All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us. Chris Wynn in studio. Monitoring, by the way, the NBA Finals. Early start to the second half, and just like that, Golden State up double digits, 67-56. The problem with that, though, is that Kevin Durant did come back, but yet he didn't. He's out. I don't think he'll come back for the rest of the season. He looked hurt. Did you guys actually see what happened? Because I didn't see the play. What exactly happened on that play?
I didn't see exactly what went down. I just saw him, grabbing that leg. But JD, it is tough for the Golden State Warriors, given that they were what were they, 9 of 15 from 3 to start this game, and you end up building a lead. But now you go into the second half without KD, and you would expect them to kind of cool things down a little bit from deep.
Yeah, they should cool down. What happened was Kevin was trying to. He was 3 for 3 from 3. He had 9 points, no turnovers. He was playing well, but then he tried to make a move. He tried to go between his legs, and the ball came out of his hands, and it was a layup the other way. But he pulled up and grabbed the back of his Achilles. Bottom line, he was back way too early. He should not have been playing in this game. They rushed him, and it could have affected his career.
You think it's going to affect his career?
Absolutely, it could have. A torn Achilles is a death wish in the NBA.
Nobody said he had a torn Achilles.
He grabbed his Achilles. There's been no statement as far as what's wrong with him.
I understand, but if he tore his Achilles, he would have been out for 6 months.
Kobe Bryant's career was ended because of a torn Achilles.
Yeah, I mean,
Boogie Cousins isn't the same player.
But nobody said he had. I understand what you're saying, but nobody said that he had a torn.
The worry initially about him was that he was a partially torn Achilles. That's what they were worried. So that's why he waited a month to come back.
And they're listing it as a quad. When you go around a couple sites on social media and on the web, they're listing the quad as the main culprit. So we'll see exactly what the details are as far as the injury. But
right now it's a 6-point game, 67-61, and without Kevin Durant in there, I would be thoroughly impressed if Golden State were even able to pull this victory out. Those guys are playing hard. I give Golden State a lot of credit. They are definitely playing hard, and they are playing to win, no doubt about it. So we'll monitor that score. We'll continue to see what happens in that one. Of course, we have NHL Stanley Cup Finals Game 7. Boy, is that going to be a lot of fun. Wednesday night, the Boston Bruins playing the St. Louis Blues, a team that has never won. The Blues, of course, a team that has never won a Stanley Cup Finals. And, in fact, to this point, they've never even won a game in the Stanley Cup Finals. So, I mean, this is really something pretty special to watch. The Blues had an opportunity to win it yesterday, and they blew it. They choked, and so it goes back to Boston for Game 7. We'll get to that in a little bit. But we're watching, after the hockey game, I'm watching some of the breaking news that was taking place last night. And, of course, this scary story that comes out, the headline reads, Big Papi shot. And the first headlines that came out said in Dominican Republic, right?
Right.
He was shot in the leg. Those were the first reports that came out. So I'm thinking to myself, and you said, Chris, look, you could still die getting shot in the leg. And while I agree, it is still rare. Usually, when you get shot in the leg, you make it out okay. But then the narrative changed. It was his friend that was shot in the leg. And the video is unbelievably haunting. A man within 2 feet or 3 feet of him takes out a gun while Big Papi is sitting there, shoots him in the back.
Do you understand why this happened, though?
No idea. Jealousy?
No, Big Papi was having an affair with a drug lord's wife.
Is that, do we know that for sure?
And the rumor is that if you look at the video, it was a clear hit. This was not a robbery. It was somebody wanted David Ortiz dead.
Yeah, they initially had mentioned that it was a robbery attempt, and then the narrative quickly changed, right, JD, where it was a murder attempt.
It was an absolute murder attempt based on extramarital situations between David Ortiz and the drug lord, and the wife of a prominent Dominican Republican drug lord, which you just don't mess with in the first place.
Do we know that for sure, though?
That's the conversation right now.
But it just goes to show you that the Dominican Republic isn't necessarily a relatively safe place, right? It was the way the circumstances took place, right? He was just sitting there in that they called it an entertainment center. I guess you would call it a club, right, or a bar.
Yeah.
But he had his back.
An entertainment center.
He's out on a patio area, and the guy just strolls up with a weapon and just basically fires it into.
If you're David Ortiz, what kind of PTSD are you going to have after that?
Exactly. It's got to mess with your head, right?
Oh, my God. Just out of nowhere, suddenly you just get shot in the back.
Yeah, and Brian, what did he say when he went into the emergency room to the doctor?
Moments before going into the surgery room, he looks at the doctor. This is Big Papi. The doctor said he looked at him and said, please don't let me die. I'm a good man. So Papi obviously knew the seriousness of the situation. Now, the doctors obviously did a very, very, very good job. My understanding, part of his intestines they had to take out, part of his stomach they had to take out. This is brutal.
Yeah, he had to have his gallbladder removed.
And from the first part of the reports, right, the headlines at the bottom of a lot of the news reports were, like you said, Brian, initially it was a shot to the leg. Then it became, he was shot in the back, and then it went through his stomach, and that he was in, quote unquote, emergency surgery. So obviously that amped up a lot of people's anxiety when it comes to a former, a future Hall of Famer, and one of the, by the way, an extremely popular Major League Baseball player, not just in the city of Boston, but all around Major League Baseball.
Here's what JD said that sort of makes sense to me a little bit, because I'm thinking to myself, why would someone just get behind a guy like David Ortiz, who's done so much for his country? He's done so many good things for so many people. Why would somebody just randomly get behind him and try to kill him? Something doesn't add up. It wasn't a robbery. And now what he's saying is, well, the possibility of the fact that maybe Ortiz was sleeping with somebody's wife or something leads me to believe maybe that's true.
Not just somebody, but the wrong person's wife.
Yeah, someone who could be a drug dealer where life is cheap, right? In that business, they're not afraid to take somebody out for any reason
in a
whatsoever.
country like that, you don't know who a drug dealer knows. You don't know what type of police connections he has. He could have easily had someone that had eyes on David Ortiz at that point, and clearly he did.
Why did he only shoot once? If he truly wanted to kill this guy, which I'm glad he didn't, thank God, but if he truly wanted to, why not just shoot him in the head? Why one shot? Why in the lower back?
I'm guessing it was a very, very young assassin who didn't have a lot of experience and who got scared and was nervous and took one shot and ran away.
Here's the brutal part of it. He didn't get to run away. There are videos of people. Look,
he took a beat down.
Yeah,
big time.
He took a huge beating, and he was arrested.
I saw his face was very, very bloody.
But I've heard there's two suspects,
but
not just one.
I think he was very, very nervous, and I would be. I mean, anybody would be in that situation, I would assume.
Yeah. Well, I heard there's two suspects, though. That's what the reports are, that there was not just one shooter, but there was another suspect that was arrested as well. We're happy that Big Papi, it appears as though doctors are saying he's going to make a full recovery, which is unbelievable. That's incredible. We're talking probably inches from shooting his heart, his chest.
And look, we understand that here in the United States, medical facilities are tremendous, right? But it wasn't like he was outside of Boston Mercy Hospital at some, or some high quality.
Not the best hospitals.
I don't think Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic has, some of the higher tier medical facilities out among the globe.
What I heard is he was transported to another facility today after the surgery, but the doctors did do a good job. Yeah. They saved his life. And, I mean, obviously, if it took longer for them to get to him, he could have bled to death easily.
But let's be honest, the worst case scenario would have been just horrendous, right? We were talking about someone who is a beloved figure in Major League Baseball, and I think it's safe to say was an icon in Major League Baseball from the the early 2000s on, and was a member, of course, of World Series teams in Boston. It would have been a horrific tragedy if David Ortiz had lost his life because of this.
Certainly his life has been changed forever. But, I remember back when Paul Pierce, I believe, was a rookie in Boston, where he got stabbed at a bar. And people were saying, a couple inches different, he would have lost his life. He got involved with the wrong people.
Remember Sean Taylor?
Absolutely.
What happened to him? He was shot in the femoral artery.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he did lose his life.
Unfortunately, this is just a really weird situation. I mean, in his own country where he is just loved. If it happened here, it'd be weird too. But this is not a guy that has been, among, controversy in his life. Yeah, you could make the argument that Big Papi, maybe he took steroids, but that's academic to this discussion. The bottom line is he's a good dude. All right, what are you guys looking at? You looking at Kevin Durant?
We're looking at Kevin Durant. I'm looking. So we got a video. JD has a video.
I'm looking at a video.
Twitter
it looks
where
like
it shows like a shimmering Achilles tendon in the back of his right leg.
Well, it looks like he tore his ACL.
Yeah,
is what it looks like. It looks like his calf wasn't ready. He wasn't prepared to come back. And I'll show you the video right now.
He tore his ACL, his knee, or his Achilles tendon? His Achilles tendon.
You can definitely see something pop in the the
So his Achilles tendon. You said ACL though, JD. You're talking about his Achilles.
No, it looks like his ACL.
Oh, so he has a knee ligament?
Well, when you come back from an injury, when you're injured and you try to plan on a foot, doesn't mean you can't do that.
No, I'm just clarifying.
It sounds like he actually injured something different on the same leg.
It does not look good. Let's put it that way. And as you guys pointed out, it would appear that Kevin Durant is probably finished for the season and is no longer going to be a part of this series.
And honestly, if this is what I'm looking at is real, he won't be suiting up for the New York Knicks until probably January of next year.
Yeah.
Frankly, I don't know how Golden State can win, but what I said before this game started, I said, people always want to talk about, and I've talked about it before, how, the Golden State Warriors could have easily won these championships without Kevin Durant. They didn't need him. He shouldn't have gone to Golden State. He should have played for another team. There'll always be an asterisk next to his NBA championships, and I've been one of those people. I've said that all along. I also said, if he can find a way to come back and get this Golden State team to win 3 games in a row against Toronto, it will be epic, and in my opinion, it'll be one of the most best accomplishments in the history of the NBA for him to do that. Obviously facing immense pressure, but now it appears, unfortunately, that not the case. He's not going to come back. Now, can Golden State win this game? Well, they're up double digits right now, midway through the third. They certainly can. I just don't know how this Golden State team can win 3 games in a row. I just don't see it happening.
Well, full disclosure, I picked Golden State to win the series in 5. And I'm starting to come around to the perception, much like Jamison Welsh, who you guys had on the show last week and talked about this, JD and Brian, about this series and how it has a lot of a feel. I'm telling you, it has a lot of feel of that 2004 series where the Detroit Pistons and the Los Angeles Lakers went at it, and nobody really gave the Pistons much of a chance. Obviously, that was a team in the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe and Gary Payton and Karl Malone were on that team. And the thought was that they were going to be anointed a championship. And finally, Gary Payton and Karl were going to grab one. Obviously not the case, right? The Pistons ended up winning that series in 5. Could have easily been 4. It's very similar to the way that this is kind of panned out, where the Toronto Raptors, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, when the series started, how many people thought the Toronto Raptors, were going to be pegged to win this thing?
I picked at the beginning of the series on the air. JD, you can confirm this, right? JD, can you confirm this? I did pick Toronto to win in 7.
But you're the outlier, though, Brian. How many people? You consider yourself in the minority, right? Obviously.
Well, based on the odds, but I mean, JD picked Toronto to win the series as well. We both did, right?
Well, JD had it. JD has a little bit more of a little oomph.
Okay, so I took early in the season. I made a small wager. I think it was like probably 10-1 on the Raptors. This was like halfway through the season. Then I took them again, a futures wager when they were down 2-0 to the Bucks at 20-1, and then I also took the Raptors to win all separate bets in 4 games, 5 games, 6 games, and 7 games. And my highest payout collectively will be if the Raptors win in 6 games. 5 is fine, 7 is fine, but 6 games is my absolute ideal.
Do you think, as banged up as Golden State is, and they are banged up, and the fact that Kevin Durant's not going to be playing is huge, huge. But with that being said, do you think that Golden State will allow? Assuming if by the way, I'm not sure Golden State wins this game, but if they do you think they can win? Toronto can win Game 6 on the road?
I don't think there's any question about that, right? They've already gone into Oakland won there in the series.
They have, but in my opinion, a closeout game is very different.
Golden State's shooting out of their minds right now, Brian. Toronto's going to win this series. I'm fairly confident that. I do think they're going to close them out at Oracle if they don't win this game.
You're right; they are shooting out of their mind, but that doesn't necessarily last.
And the Raptors tend to go off and on with their shooting.
Yeah,
they've had 2 great shooting days. Now they're having a terrible shooting day. Can the Warriors beat them 3 games in a row? Especially, there's a chance, and I'm looking at this right now, there is a chance that his Achilles tendon is ruptured. A ruptured, that could be his entire career. That's the best player in the NBA gone. Why? Because he was forced to play. He was basically forced to play. His teammates were pressuring him. If you read a lot of articles, it says, hey, we don't understand why Kevin Durant's not playing. Well, because he's injured. That's why he's not playing.
And you brought it up in the break,
I understand you need him, but he's injured.
Who'd you bring up in the break as far as a big-time, iconic player when it came to that injury? It absolutely affected their career.
By the way, Van Fleet is absolutely going nuts right now.
Oh, yeah. Kobe Bryant, DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, an Achilles tendon, and Jameson said the same thing last week. That is a death wish for your career. And this guy's making $50 million a year. Yeah. He's only 29 years old, and he's by far the best offensive player probably since Michael Jordan. But
again, we are speculating. We don't know exactly what the injury is. We don't know the severity of the injury he already had because Golden State not really putting out a lot of information.
I'll tell you, either he has a torn ACL or his Achilles tendon ruptured and then coiled up into his calf. That's honestly what just took place.
Think there's a better chance of that. When I saw that video, that's the first thing I thought of, JD, was that the Achilles had snapped at the back of his heel and had gone up the back of his leg.
Which could turn him from a superstar to a role player who shoots threes.
I don't know. Look, listen, Paul. Listen. Okay.
It's disgusting to me that he was forced to play this game.
I understand, but listen, we don't know how one's body is going to react. All I can tell you is I was at the game here, USA Basketball. This was about 6 years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years. I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, something like that. I was at the USA basketball game at Thomas and Mack Center when Paul George, it looked like half of his leg
injury.
fell off.
Yeah, that was horrific.
Okay. His leg was hanging by skin.
Yeah.
Okay, people thought his career was over.
But was he? But did he come back too fast because he was in a championship game? Because he was in a quote unquote must-win game? Absolutely not. This was easily avoidable.
Well,
Brian, there's a huge difference here. Kevin Durant was clearly injured, and they brought him in way too early, and it could cost this guy his career.
I'll tell you though, those trainers in Golden State have been getting a ton of credit and given a lot of positive press because the impression is, JD, is that they've done the right thing when it comes to injuries.
I also watched Kevin Durant torture all-stars at USA Basketball here in Las Vegas last summer. I watched him play
he's the best player in the world
for
when he's
hours
healthy.
and hours and hours.
We may there is
when he's healthy,
there is a chance. There is a chance. I give you that there is a chance that we will never see him as that player again. There is a chance.
I would say there is a pretty decent chance. Well,
again, we're speculating. We don't know.
But the point is, it was avoidable. Paul George was a freak accident. This guy was hurt, and he shouldn't have played.
But again, we don't know the severity of his injury. We'll probably never know. We'll never get the honest truth, but it'll be very interesting.
We might get an explanation, JD, about what Kevin Durant was thinking before this game as far as, his health and was he ready to come back? Because look, the trainers
I would say
are not going to make that decision for him.
That Golden State Warriors, to some degree, could get a lawsuit from Kevin Durant if this happens. He just left in crutches. He left the arena in crutches.
There's no doubt it could be a huge event when it comes to his career. But I'm talking about before the game
and for the NBA.
But you're making the distinction that before the game somehow the training staff was forcing Kevin Durant to play this game. I don't think that's going to be the case.
I've never seen.
First of all, he walked off the court. He wasn't stretchered out. Okay,
right.
Paul George could not walk. His leg was off. The fact that KD walked on his own, I think we might be making this a bigger issue than it is. That's number one. Number two, I want to point this out because I think this is very, very important. Some of the disgusting fans in Toronto. Okay, it's one thing if you have a lot of money on the game and you hear that KD's out, you say, well, I'm glad he's out of the game, but you don't cheer. Okay, there are fans in Toronto, many of whom I would imagine probably didn't have money on the game, regardless of it, that were clapping and cheering when Kevin Durant left the game with the injury. Those fans are absolutely disgusting as far as I'm concerned. We see this, and I don't want to just pick on the Toronto Raptors fans. We can pick on fans all over the place.
Philadelphia Eagle fans are notorious for it in the old vet where players were getting career-ending injuries and they were cheering for injuries against opposing players.
So there's what is it that Canadians are supposed to be? They're supposed to be really nice people. Apparently, the Toronto Raptors fans don't abide by that rule, I guess. But that's disgusting. Make no mistake about it. That is completely and utterly disgusting. We're not talking about somebody taking a big hit in an NHL game and cheering. That's different. We're talking about somebody that is arguably the best player in the NBA. And by the way, even if he's a bench warmer, it would be inexcusable. What has Kevin Durant done so bad to anybody that you would cheer the man?
It's not like Kevin Durant's some kind of villain, right? Where he's just absolutely despised out there in the NBA.
This isn't John Rocker we're talking about,
exactly.
Right?
It's not Bill Laimbeer or someone like that. Where
easy. Bill Laimbeer was just in studio.
I'm not trying to rationalize where fans should be cheering when people get hurt. Even if it's like the most hated guy in the NBA. Brian, I think you'd agree with me. You probably shouldn't be cheering for them if they have an injury that could possibly be career-altering or ending, right?
No, and again, I think we might be over-exaggerating the injury, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. But the fact that he walked off the court on his own merit speaks volumes. I think that is very, very important. Could it be a bad injury? Absolutely. But I do not think this is a career-ending injury, and I think he's still young, and he'll come back strong. I think he'll be fine. Is there a chance that they played him too early? Well, yeah, I think they probably did play him too early. But again, this was one of those situations where it was you lose this game, the season's over. So I think they were willing to take that risk. I think it was up to Kevin Durant ultimately, and it was probably Kevin Durant that made the decision that he wanted to play. Nobody forced him to go out there and play. I give him credit for that. He knew he wasn't close to 100%, but he decided to suit up and play anyway. And I think that speaks volumes about his character, quite frankly. I applaud him for playing. Nobody forced him to play. This was a decision that he had to make ultimately.
Of course, and you can't applaud him, but it was the wrong decision. He made the wrong decision, clearly.
Well, look, the doctors probably told him, and again, I'm making assumptions
Here's
here.
The craziest part. Teams that are down 3-1 are 1-33 in the finals.
Yep.
So why do you expect a completely injured Kevin Durant to come in and win 3 games in a row for you? He shouldn't have played, period.
Well, they don't expect him to come in and win 3 games for him. They expect him to be a contributor to the team.
No.
Yeah. It's not a savior type situation.
Yes, it is.
I can tell you listen, guys, what probably happened was they said, look, you're not even going to be close to 100%. You might feel some pain. There is a chance that you could re-aggravate the injury. I'm sure that's what these doctors told him. And they ultimately probably said, it's your decision.
Or they shut him up with painkillers and said, hey, we need to win this game. Get out there.
Well, no, it was his decision.
No, Brian, the coach and the trainers put him on no minute restriction.
So I think it's safe to say, though, that both you, JD, and Brian, you both will be shocked if the Warriors win this game tonight and end up winning the series. You think that they're going to be able to win 3 straight?
I don't know if I'll be shocked if they win tonight. I certainly will be shocked if they win the series. That'll shock me.
No, they could easily win tonight, but I do not think they're winning this series. And I could easily see them winning at Oracle, the Raptors winning at Oracle, and kind of a big win because the Warriors shooting lights out right now. And there's going to be, and once whatever comes out with Durant thing, if this is really bad, there will be so much bad blood at Oracle.
I don't know if there'll be bad blood, but I will say that the fact even Kevin Durant wasn't even close to 100% tonight.
Well, especially
he hit 3 threes. He is a huge factor. You put him out there, hurt or not.
He is. He's also actually 6'11 and a half. He's not 6'9". He shoots. He drives. He's one of the best defenders when he wants to be in the NBA, as you can see by the Warriors, by the Raptors' 3-point percentage today. Also, who's to say that he was guaranteed to leave Golden State? Now he is. But who's to say that before this he was?
That's a good question,
and
too.
There's a new $1.5 billion arena that's being built in San Francisco, and the team
was
moving.
leaving. I think he was leaving.
But there's no guarantee of that. I think a lot of Warriors fans will blame the coach and the team and the GM for that.
But I think
if he
the
does
straw.
leave,
Oh, so you think the bad blood's going to be from the fans?
Absolutely,
on
yes.
the Warriors next in Game 6? You think that's going to take place? I don't know about that.
I think the straw that broke the camel's back was the Draymond Green Kevin Durant situation midseason.
Well, that
the
didn't
argument.
help, obviously.
I think that really was the last straw for Kevin Durant. He was seen mouthing to himself, "This is why I'm out." That is what he said. This is why I'm out. After getting into that, look, he doesn't get along with all those guys on that team. He just doesn't. And I think he knew from that point forward, in my opinion, after that situation with Draymond Green, where it spilled into the locker room, by the way. They said they were screaming and they were close to a fist fight. I think he knew he was gone. I think he's going elsewhere. He came to Golden State to do what he wanted to do, and that was to win some rings. He accomplished that, and now he's going to go somewhere else. And who knows? Maybe he goes to New York. Maybe he goes to Washington. I don't know. I do think Anthony Davis is going to become an LA Laker. I do think it's going to be a very interesting offseason and finding out where these guys go.
So the whole clean slate, I've got my championships and I can move on, is the mentality, you think, from Kevin Durant?
Absolutely. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So tomorrow we're going to have a lot of fun on the show. Ron Futrell from Channel 8 is going to be joining us in studio. Of course, talk about our good friend, Mr. Donald Trump. Of course. I'll be very nice to Donald tomorrow.
You're going to have a lot of Republican blood here in the studio, my friend.
I'll be very nice. And also, in hour number 2 tomorrow, we got another golf major in store for you. It is the U.S. Open. Tiger Woods, does he have a chance to win? Who is going to be in contention? Dennis Silvers, the golf guru, will be joining us in hour number 2 to preview the U.S. Open. So we got Ron Futrell, we got Dennis Silvers in studio tomorrow. Let's not forget our very good friend, Michael Avenatti, will be joining us on Wednesday. It's going to be a fun week, folks. Mr. Chris Wynn, thank you so much for joining us in studio as always. Good job.
Great times as always.
Thank you very much. And we will join you same time, same place here tomorrow. The legend himself, Ken Thompson, coming up next year. Thanks for joining us in the Vegas Dave, everybody. Have a great night. In the Vegas Dave, everybody. Have a great night. In the Vegas Dave, everybody. Have a great night. In the